synagogue, there is an illegal sale of stolen Palestinian land. We are here today to let them hear our voices and let them know we will not accept this. No real estate for illegal settlements built on Palestinian land. This has been going on for years now in the United States and Canada. All over the world it happens. This is illegal under all laws, international, national, local, state, county, you name it. And the main reason is, forget about the occupied land, they don't let you inside of there if you're not a Jew. Shame. The same people perpetrating the narrative of the people standing against genocide that has killed over 40,000 innocent civilians in Gaza and calling us anti-Semitic and weaponizing anti-Semitism to justify a genocide are calling us anti-Semitic, racist, divisive. Meanwhile, if you are not a Jew, you cannot even go inside a real estate event of our land. We have multiple asks, and it's very reasonable asks. The first thing is, stop using our tax dollars to kill our families. Stop using our tax dollars to kill our families. Now, they'll call me anti-Semitic for that one. Number two, this is a racist event, this is a divisive event, and I am here to call out Governor Phil Murphy. Shame! Shame on you, Murphy! Murphy, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide! Murphy, what do you say? How many kids did you kill today? Another thing, Mayor Pagan of Teaneck. Let me tell you all the story about Teaneck.
Talk about it.
Teaneck is a Zionist-controlled town. But it is a very diverse town. So we're calling out Mayor Pagan and his goons in the city council for only representing the pockets of the Zionists. Their campaigns are run on Zionist funds, and they do not represent all people. They only represent their political and personal interests. They do not represent the Muslim community in Teaneck, which is large. They do not represent the black community in Teaneck, which is a large community. They do not represent the Hispanic community in Teaneck.
Talk about it.
We are out here today as the people, and the people are united, and we will never be divided. We are here to let the world know that in our own countries, we are all Americans, and we have the same rights and deserve to enjoy in the same privileges as others, regardless of our race, religion, and creed. In October, the Teaneck City Council passed a resolution supporting Israel, and I quote, "They have the right to defend themselves by any means necessary." Now we're here to ask the Township of Teaneck and their fascist leaders, are Palestinians people too? When you say you're standing with Israel and whatever they want to do to defend themselves, does that include the thousands of children, women, elders murdered under bombs? Does it justify it? We all deserve to have a voice. And when the students of Teaneck High School had a protest back in what, November? Congressman Gottheimer attacked them publicly. He attacked CARE, the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Did you guys know that Congressman Gottheimer is a dual citizen? He's an American and an Israeli. Who do you represent? Who do you represent?
The people of Palestine.
These political leaders are injected into our lives. We have no choice but to sit back and fight back. We have to analyze this by every way possible. Another thing, the city council has silenced the people in this town. We go to the city council meetings, all different types of people from different races, religions, everything you name. They shut down public speaking, public comments early. Why? Because Councilman Schwartz is a die-hard fascist Zionist who was actually in Israel on October 7th. How can he represent all people without being biased? Let's ask them that question next council meeting. Show up. Everybody give it up for Liz Cooper from Jewish Voice for Peace.
I have come to speak with you all today because I am sick and tired of my own Jewish institutions hawking stolen land in my own name. I am sick of the twisted proposition that the only choices for my safety as a Jewish person is fascism and extermination. As a descendant of Holocaust refugees and Holocaust survivors, I was taught from as young an age as I can remember that the core political priority for me and for my communities is stopping fascism in all of its forms, wherever it rears its head. And I have come to see in my life as my own Jewish communities, in the name of Jewish protection, have taken the mantle of fascism into their own hands. I have watched as genocide has become the word of my own Jewish institutions. I say no! I say no! It is as a Jewish woman, as a partisan of the Jewish principles of tikkun olam, of repairing the world, that we must stop genocide wherever it rears its head, whoever perpetrates it, under whatever aegis it chooses to present itself. I am sick of the falsehoods, of the censorship, of the exclusion, and the brutal, brutal racism that the institutions of my own community have put out in this state, in Teaneck, in New Jersey, in the United States of America, in the state of Israel, and worldwide. I say enough is enough! I do not believe that my people are the genocidal fascists perpetrating the extermination of the Palestinian people. My people are the community that is gathered together here. Palestinians, Muslims, Arabs, white, black, Jewish, atheist, all coming together for the sake of human flourishing and human dignity. This is my community. This is what keeps us safe. I'd like to introduce an inspiring activist. He's in fact going to be reading a speech on behalf of Teaneck for Palestine as an organization. I'd like to give a warm welcome for TJ.
Peace be upon you all, and welcome, dear comrades, to Teaneck, derived from the Lenape word Teaneck, meaning town. As we gather here, expressing our rage and disbelief over the land theft of Palestinian land right here in our own town, we reaffirm and recognize the ancestral land upon which we now stand, known as Lenapehoking, to her rightful stewards. We must never forget or dismiss the direct link between the settler colonial project that is the United States of America, that occupies Turtle Island, and the settler colonial project known to the colonial capitalist world as Israel. As longtime residents of Teaneck and fierce supporters of the Palestinian cause, we believe it is our responsibility to raise awareness about the ways in which certain politicians, institutions, and corporations in Teaneck are actively contributing to the genocide of Palestinians. The land theft event that is happening right across the street is the primary example of this. This protest has been labeled anti-Semitic for daring to take place in front of a synagogue. But this protest would take place no matter where the land theft exhibition was being hosted. To desecrate a place of worship by shamelessly facilitating the marketing of stolen land during an ongoing genocide is exactly how American Zionists vindicate themselves. Accuse anyone who protests Zionist ethnic cleansing and land theft as anti-Semitic. Well, we reject that charge outright.
We reject it!
We reject that charge outright. Let this be clear. Zionist bastardizations of Jewish faith for their own capitalist, colonial, fascist purposes is what drives anti-Semitic rhetoric. In the midst of this social unrest and the passionate cries for change, we are also aware of those who cast doubt upon the legitimacy of this action. We will be unjustly labeled as outsiders by those seeking to undermine our cause and delegitimize any support for Palestine in this town. But we are not strangers from distant lands. We are neighbors. We are friends. We are fellow citizens. These are the voices of our communities, the faces of our local streets, and the hearts of our shared struggles. To dismiss our grievances as actions of outsiders is not only a gross misrepresentation, but also a dangerous attempt to silence legitimate concerns and suppress dissent. It is a tactic employed to discredit the voices of those demanding justice, equality, and accountability. The struggle for justice in Palestine is not a solitary endeavor demonstrated here today. It is a global movement fueled by collective aspirations of people everywhere who believe in the inherent worth and equality of all human beings. So let us stand together until the day that Palestinians can reclaim their land, their homes, their rightful place in the world, because a free Palestine means a free world. Let us pledge to amplify the voices of the marginalized everywhere, to advocate for the rights of the disenfranchised, and work tirelessly towards the future based on true justice where every single human being can live in dignity, freedom, and peace. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Next, we have Rhea from Decolonize the Classroom. Her efforts have been amazing, and we're happy she's joining us today. Give it up for Rhea.
Assalamu alaikum. Palestine represents one of the last settler colonial holds that exist, and a liberated Palestine is the spark for all oppressed people around the world. First, we must be clear. The center of the heightened genocidal massacre on the Palestinian people is the Palestinians that are on the ground in Gaza, Jenin, Nablus, and throughout occupied Palestine. Therefore, the center is not any individual person, politician, celebrities, or otherwise. The center of the movement for Palestinian liberation is the people on the ground. But before we discuss this, we must first examine ourselves as a community. We cannot just say with our words that we center Palestine. We must examine our collective actions towards our support of our people. Although I am here as a Palestinian, and let me quickly point out, As someone who was born in Jerusalem, Palestine, I do not have the right to buy land in my birthplace, and neither would the 7 million Palestinians living in the diaspora whose rightful home is Palestine. But let us be clear that no person here is the representative of our people who are on the ground and who are sacrificing their lives for liberation. Because we recognize that our people are not voiceless, and we are not here to speak on their behalf. They are in fact silenced. We must recognize the difference. We are here in support of their liberation and in support of the people's principles. This includes their right to self-autonomy and self-determination, Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine, the right of return, the right to resist, and the liberation of all of Palestine from the river to the sea. And when we say that we must confront ourselves and the corruption that has been caused by normalizers, and for any one of us who are in the learning process, normalization is the attempt to validate the Zionist entity's existence. This is in reference to those amongst us who are within this movement and do not stand firmly on the principles of the Palestinian people. We are all here because we stand against the concept of settler colonialism. Against the concept of settler colonialism, a system founded on genocide and colonialism. We must recognize the difference. We are here in support of their liberation and in support of the people's principles. Because we stand against the concept of settler colonialism, a system founded on genocide and colonialism that displaces the people of a nation and aims to replace it with a settler population. But where did the concept of selling land come from? We have been assimilated and conditioned to believe that buying stolen land is normal. This is not normal. Where do the houses that you live in come from? We must acknowledge that we live on stolen land in what we call the Americas. The indigenous people of this land were massacred by the European colonialists. And we are currently living what has happened historically time and time again. We must reject the concept of stealing and selling stolen land. Because land sales are colonial concepts, our return home to Palestine is not contingent upon the entities that are founded in supremacy and land theft. As we know, the police are here for protecting property. All this land is stolen. Soldiers that commit genocide are cops who kill the working class and the poor.
Say that again, because they can't hear you. Please.
Police are for protecting property. All this land is stolen. Soldiers that commit genocide are cops who kill the working class and the poor. And because we must address the classism within our communities, our return home is not contingent upon those within our community who have economical advantages and those who do not. Because our refugees, including those living in the camps along all of Palestine, are waiting to return home. And who are we with this American privilege to decide who has the right to return home? Are we truly seeking a liberated Palestine for all, or is it just for those who have the economical capacity to return? And when we say that we oppose property sales of our land in Palestine, let's examine ourselves and talk about those in the West who say that they want to rebuild Gaza. Do these platform voices want to rebuild Gaza with the same American money that the treacherous Palestinian Authority used to build Ramallah? Or do we want to rebuild Gaza as a global community in solidarity with the liberation of the people? So when we talk about stolen land, we must examine ourselves first. Because the right to return is not a mortgage. The right of return is achieved through clear methods. We oppose the selling of stolen land by the settler colonial regime to those who support the inception of land theft in all of Palestine. What's happening now in Palestine is what has happened historically in Puerto Rico and Hawaii and Western Sahara and many parts of the world. And why is it that the entire global community stands with the Palestinian liberation movement? Even when our people are 6 months into the heightened genocidal massacre on Palestine, people are still organizing and speaking up and standing in solidarity. It's because within your conscience, your ancestors are recognizing the struggle against oppression for liberation. Our ancestors are recognizing the struggle against oppression for liberation. Therefore, we must always come back to our moral compass and be steadfast in our support for the folks on the ground in Palestine. We must not relent, and we must continue to unlearn the Western ideals that we have been taught, and we must center the people and their principles. The lives of over 35,000 martyrs are not lost in vain. I'm going to say that one again. The lives of over 35,000 martyrs in Palestine are not lost in vain. Their sacrifice should strengthen our collective resolve to move forward. And we must know that everything that we do and continue to do, including organizing, educating, speaking up, whatever is in your capacity and beyond, everything that you're doing is your obligation and not a favor to the Palestinian movement, because the Palestinian liberation movement serves us. All of our collective efforts matter. The tide is turning, and we could actualize our hope for liberation.
Next up, we have our sister Fatma from Within Our Lifetime. Within Our Lifetime is a Palestinian organization based in New York City. They have been fighting for Palestine for years and years and years, and they were facing repression and harassment from the government in New York and the NYPD. So I'm happy they're able to join us here today. Everybody give it up for Fatma.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I begin, I want to send salutations upon the beloved Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May peace and blessings be upon him. And I want to remind everyone who can hear me, whoever's in my earshot, that these people will not be shamed. Do not try to appeal to their shame, because they have none. And so if you have energy and you have attention, bring it here, because they don't deserve it. We must, as a community, stop trying to appeal to their morality, to their consciousness that is so depraved that during a time like this, they still find it in their hearts to come and steal people's lands amidst an active genocide. So do not appeal to their morality, do not recognize them. They are undeserving of our attention, of our energy, and our efforts. Today we stand in rage, in mourning, in utter shame that our tax dollars, that our money has funded this genocide, that this genocide has been ongoing since 48. That it is our tax dollars that is funding this death machine, that it is our tax dollars that is funding this genocide, that we recognize that this genocide did not start in October, that it has been ongoing, and that this is the most recent escalation of this genocide, and that we have failed the Palestinian people. We have failed when we remained silent. We had failed when we became a people that were only moved by images of carnage, but that we promised to not fail them, because we fail ourselves, because we fail our neighbors here when we are not free. When we are not free, we cannot free others. We cannot free others of the torment that we fund, of the death that we fund. We are funding death, and each and every single day, you don't mobilize and you don't organize for a world where you don't fund death. You are a part of the problem. We stand in utter shame because Palestinian hugging his child beneath the rubble. It's the same story. It's the same story as little children comforting each other because their parents have been killed. It's the same story of Palestinian women being sexually abused. It's the same story of Palestinian men being abducted. It's the same story. The story is Zionism. Zionism is predicated and necessitates violence, it necessitates death and suffering. And so long as we live, we must resist Zionism in every corner of this world. The genocide that has unfolded before our eyes should shake us to our core. The images you have seen should leave you sleepless at night. The images that you have seen of decomposed bodies, of desecrated bodies and graves. The images you have seen of hospitals on the rubble. The images you have seen should keep you awake at night. They should not inspire in you laziness. We cannot be a people only moved by images of death and destruction. We cannot be people only moved by high energy. We must resist in every single way we can. You have seen Palestinian fathers carry their children in plastic bags. You have seen Palestinian children shivering alone in the cold without any shelter. You have seen those images. You are the witnesses that remain on earth, and there will be a day, the day of judgment, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you about what you've witnessed. So as the witnesses that have remained on the earth, you have a responsibility to your people. You cannot sit back and relax just because you are a Muslim or just because you're an Arab. You do not get the luxury to relax and sit back because it's your money funding this death and destruction. Make no mistake that just as these settlers invaded our grandparents' homes with warm food still on the table, by Allah, by His mercy and by His promise, they will leave those houses with warm food still on their tables. And the most radical thing we can do is believe. Do not be complacent. Do not be wavering. Do not be the first to sell out on your people. Do not be the first to normalize, stand steadfast, because you have a people behind you resisting by any means necessary. And our faith has never been in institutions and policing systems, in NGOs or nonprofits. Our faith has always been in our people who continue to resist as they are demonized, as they are vilified by the world. And so we have faith in them. And we ask ourselves every single day that if we cannot handle this cold, if we are shivering in this cold, if we feel frustrated, we ask ourselves how they must feel and how we honor their struggle. And so I hope you honor their struggle. I hope today is not just the only day that you show up. I hope it is not the excitement of yelling at a bunch of Zionists that brought you here. I hope it is the unwavering love for your people that brought you here. And I hope it is that love that will carry you forward. That is that love that will carry you forward, because that is the only love that matters. And there is no revolution without reclaiming land. Land is revolution. We will reclaim our land, every inch of it, every inch of it, every inch of it. And so glory to our martyrs, the young, the old, the one holding rocks and the one holding cameras. Glory to them, glory to them, glory to them.
It is my honor to introduce to you all our next speaker. Please come to the podium, Zeli from BLM.
Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. I'm here today representing Black Lives Matter, Patterson, New Jersey. Even if it's 50-degree weather, even if it's pouring raining, Black Lives Matter stands in solidarity with the people of Palestine. We do not care about a little rain dropping on us, because there are bombs dropping on our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We should not care about some can end this racism here is through solidarity. Zionism is racism. Zionism is racism. Zionism is not Judaism. So when we say that we are anti-Zionist, we're not saying that we are anti-Jewish. We're saying we're anti a system that is killing our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And if you are for Zionism, that means you are for the death and destruction of the people living in Gaza. We are here all gathered today not because we hate people, because we love people. We love humanity so much that we're willing to stand outside in the rain for hours. For hours. That's not hate, that's love. So when people say or try to say that we're a hateful movement, that's not the case. We are a movement of love. We love people so much, we are willing to risk our health. We are willing to risk our jobs. We are willing to risk losing some friends because we understand there's something greater at the end of this. Are you willing to risk losing some of your friends? Are you willing to risk losing some family members?
Talk about it.
You have to be willing to risk losing your job. You have to be able to risk getting arrested. Anything that we do that can get us closer to the liberation of Palestinian people, you must take that risk.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, talk about it, talk about it, talk about
Our
it.
brothers and sisters in Palestine are taking that risk every day, and so should we here. So when I say that we cannot be free until we are all free, that is true. So repeat after me. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. كل سنة وانتم سالمين. My name is Wasim. I'm a community organizer in New Jersey. Everybody who went before me spoke eloquently, and I want to say I endorse their message. Black Lives Matter, free Palestine, the police state needs to be held accountable. I'm going to make two quick points. Two things that I've seen recently since October 7th. And I want us to be aware of these things and be rooted in these things when we move in this community and we move in this movement. First and foremost, all of the Zionist allegations thrown our way are just admissions. They accuse us of absurdity because that is the Zionist mentality. That is how they operate, and that is a possibility in their world. So that is nothing but simply projection. What that looks like is the murder of babies. What that looks like is the theft of land. What that looks like is genocidal intentions. And the second thing that I want to say very loud and clear, when they accuse us of genocide and land theft, all of their arguments are underlined in absurdity. They have the audacity to stand behind those doors and sell stolen land. Shame on them. Their position is not based in logic. Their position is absurd. It's all ad hominem attacks against us and our movement, only to dehumanize us and justify the absurd atrocities that they impose on our people day in and day out. We reject the premise of the conversation that they want to go by.
Talk about it.
We reject their arguments. We reclaim logic on the other side. And so when you speak, speak your truth and don't be ashamed. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine!
Up next, I am very excited to invite to the podium Kopel. He is a religious studies educator. Everybody, please give a round of applause to Kopel.
Like was said, my name is Kopel. Friends of Zem, and I am a Jewish religious studies teacher. And thank you. And the arthritis has given me some trouble, so I'm going to keep this brief. I grew up not too far from here, over on West Englewood Avenue. And my whole time being brought up in the Orthodox community here, all I could hear about was the tuition crisis. How there wasn't enough money to fund Jewish education. I live in Crown Heights now, and I see ads about, fund impoverished families to have a Sabbath meal. And then I come here, and I see what we're spending our money on. I see where the values of this community lies. You're saying that you can't afford to teach our children religion, but you can afford a goddamn genocide. Their families going without bread for their Sabbath meal, and you're buying a vacation home on stolen land. What does it say about the notion of Jewish values when this is how we conduct ourselves? What? And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know the people in there are far gone, but I make no mistake, though they present this as a normal real estate event, this is just the smiling, polite face of genocide, this real estate sale. Not unlike when the Dutch settlers in this land purchased the land from the Tappan tribe. I'm sure that was sanctioned by the local government too. Just like this event is sanctioned by the local government, I saw council members Mark Schwartz and Hillary Goldberg showing their faces at this genocidal sale. Smiling in our face while they make a profit off of stolen land and genocide. And they have the audacity, the gall, the chutzpah to host it in a show. You Zionists are staining our Torahs with the blood of innocents. Just like when they wave an Israeli flag at damn near every shul in town. At the shuls I was raised to pray and to believe that my safety was reliant on this fascist, genocidal, settler colonial project. I have never felt safer than when I am far, far away from an Israeli flag. I feel safe here, surrounded by so many of my closest friends. When they say that this is supporting Judaism, you know that's bullshit. Don't even ask them how. All right, that's all I gotta say. So from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free! Next up speaking is going to be Rich Siegel. He is an activist. He is an activist with Dair Yassin Remembered, and his viral opposition to this stolen land sale is the reason why so many of us are here today. Please give it up for Rich Siegel.
My name is Rich Siegel, and I'm kind of amazed that my little 3-minute talk at the Teaneck Town Council kind of set this all in motion. But, well, thanks for that applause, and thank you all for being here. And unfortunately, we may need to do it again on March 31st. There's going to be another real estate event, this one in B'nai Yeshurun Synagogue, also in Teaneck. There's one preceding it in Englewood coming up. You know, I'm happy to see everybody, but I'm also extremely sad, and I'm really in
shock and in mourning. Why are we here? We're here because there's a genocide going on now. We're here because there are more than 13,000 dead children crying out from the graves for us to be here. And I feel it in the pit of my stomach when I say that, because it's horrific beyond belief. I'm Jewish. I was raised Zionist. I consider myself a cult survivor. And I consider what's going on in the synagogue across the street from us right now a cult activity. They're only aware of their own victimization. They're focused on October 7th as if it occurred in isolation. They won't admit to the 75 years of ethnic cleansing that preceded October 7th. They're telling lies about what happened on October 7th, and they're justifying the genocide that has occurred since October 7th. They're breaking local anti-discrimination laws by having a for Jews only real estate event. They're breaking international law by selling illegal West Bank settlement homes. And they're breaking our hearts because they're doing this on the graves of more than 32,000 people, or 35, I don't know what the correct figure is. But they're doing it on the graves of the tens of thousands of people who have been murdered in this genocide. It's an obscenity what they're doing, and they're doing it feeling fully justified. And this is a cult. This is the cult that I survived. You know, and people ask me, you know, how do we change their hearts? How do we change their minds? And I don't know how to do it. I don't think it can be done. I think they just need to be defeated. And that's what we're doing here today. We're out here, we're saying, no, you can't do this. You can't break international law and sell this real estate. You can't break anti-discrimination law and have a for Jews only event. You can't do it. We're not letting you do it. And that's why I went in front of the Teaneck Town Council. That's why I'm here today. And that's why I want to thank you all for joining me. And thank you all for showing up. And thank you all for everything you're doing for Palestine. It's Palestine. When I was a kid, when I was a brainwashed Zionist, I took the Zionist tour of Israel, and then much later, I took an activist tour of Palestine, and I went to the same place and had two very, very different experiences. And I wish I knew how to reach my people. I wish I knew, but if that's not possible, they just have to be defeated. And that's what we're doing here. And I'm so gratified today. I can't tell you, I am so gratified that this little 3-minute talk I gave has led to a gathering. I mean, somebody told me they estimated about 1,000 people showed up today. So God bless you all. Free Palestine. Thank you so much.
I am very excited to introduce our next speaker here. Coming up to the podium to speak up next is going to be Rabbi Weiss of Jews United Against Zionism.
With the help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may be worthy of conveying His message, and so, inshallah, sanctify His name and bring peace to the world. We are here today, together, Jewish people, together with Arabs, Muslims, Christians, we've come together. Why? Because this world belongs to the Almighty, and in His world, He says, do not commit atrocities, do not steal, do not kill. Emulate Him. I was in Basha Barajna and given a key to remember that the Palestinian people want back their homes. They're not going to give up what was theirs. I'm here because Jewish people and Muslim people, although we have a distinctly different religion, there was never an impediment to coexistence. That's an ugly lie. That's an ugly lie of the Zionists. It's despicable. It's tranquility to the world. Do not be intimidated. Do not be conned by a group of total satanic people who are stealing, basically nothing less than stealing the land and murdering people. They're not using Judaism. They're using a satanic issue, but they're masquerading in Judaism. So please, please, world leaders, step up to the plate. Do what is required of you. Let's stop this carnage in Gaza. Let's stop the carnage in Palestine. Free Palestine. Apartheid. Apartheid. Apartheid was given legitimacy for tens of years. Today, if anybody will try to make an apartheid state, they will be looked at as the most low, evil, satanic devil. But yet it went on for tens of years under the auspices of the United Nations, and humans, individuals, laymen like us, stood up and pleaded that we were considered terrorists. But today, the world says it's impossible such a thing. The same thing will happen with Zionism. One day it will stop. Let us not be on the wrong side of history. Let us not be pulling the hairs of our head that we were silent to this terrible crime, to this injustice, to this murder. We must stand up, and let's hope and pray to God for an end of the occupation. And let's plead with our politicians again. Don't be standing tomorrow and pulling the hairs of your head and explaining to your kids that you are silent. Do what God wants from you, a free Palestine. Judaism, yes. Zionism, no. The state of Israel must go. Judaism, yes. Zionism, no. The state of Israel must go.
Everybody, please give it up for B.
First off, I want to speak to you as a Jew, how despicable, violent, and disgusting it is that these Zionist wannabe settler cowards are cowering behind the walls of my sacred worship place. Synagogues are the center of Jewish communal life, and for the past 75 years, Jewish communal life has been corrupted, distorted, and mangled to build ideological and material support for the fascist, colonizing entity of so-called Israel. Zionism has infected Jewish life and tradition like a virus. Zionism seeks to build a Jewish identity that completely aligns itself with the interests of Euro-American white supremacy and imperialism. Zionism is colonization. Zionism is fascism. Zionists claim that Israel is a home for the Jewish people. We know that Israel is nothing more than a rabid attack dog for the great Satan of the world, the U.S. empire. As Jews of conscience, it is no longer enough for us to stand in the street and chant "not in our name." We have to purge Zionism from Jewish life entirely. We must understand that anyone who upholds Zionism is our enemy. They are not simply misguided. They are fascists and colonizers in our own damn community. The future of our diaspora, the future of our identity as people, hinges on us destroying Zionism forever. When Zionist synagogues host events like these, they know exactly what they're doing. They know they are putting a target on Jewish institutions by implicating themselves with colonial land theft. Zionism depends on proliferating anti-Semitism in order to stoke existential fear in Jews around the world, in order to justify Israel as, quote, the only safe place on earth for the Jewish people. Like all fascist projects before and after it, the Zionist entity depends on that fear in order to justify its own sadistic Nazi violence against the captive Palestinian population. Jews of conscience reject the idea that we are kept safe by Zionism. We state loudly and clearly, as our ancestors did, "Dat in mooi wir leben, dat is unser Land. Wherever we are, that is our home." We will stay in diaspora and fight for our liberation alongside all oppressed peoples. We will be brave and steadfast and in solidarity with our oppressed siblings. The righteous Al-Aqsa flood operation initiated by the Palestinian resistance on October 7th was an insurgency of the oppressed against a fascist colonizer. Palestinian armed resistance fighters are the siblings of my ancestors who fought and died in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. My solidarity is with the resistance wherever it may be. Never the colonizers, never the oppressors. I don't care if they're Jewish. I want them gone. Many have correctly pointed out that this is an event that is in violation of both domestic civil rights law and international law. But if the last 6 months have proven anything, it's that international law is worth less than the mud on my boots. In a recent speech given on March 8th, Abu Ubaidah, spokesman for the Martyr Izz-ad-Din al-Qassam brigades, correctly observed that the international community and its outdated laws are designed to protect injustice, oppression, and aggression of the Israeli tyrants. The days of appealing to the consciousness and laws of our oppressors are over. The law of the colonizer, the law of the American empire, the laws of those who perpetuate genocide from Turtle Island to Africa to Palestine to the Philippines is not our law. It is our collective duty to struggle and be brave in our fight against U.S. imperialism. We must be militant. We must be steadfast. We must learn from the Palestinian resistance, from the new African resistance to paid violence here in America, from the Vietnamese resistance, from the Yemeni resistance of civil law. In the words of George Jackson, we must accept the eventuality of bringing the USA to its knees. Death to America! Death to Israel! Al-Mawt li-America! Al-Mawt li-Israel! All power to the peoples of the world!
Next up, I'm excited to bring up to the podium the Imam Safet Katovic from Justice for All.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Shalom alaikum. Peace is what we don't have. Security is what we don't have. Justice is what we don't have. Humanity is what we need. Thank you for being human beings, peoples of conscience, and standing for humanity. I'm your brother, Safet Katovic. I serve as the Imam and Director of UN Operations for Justice for All. We are a human rights organization registered at the United Nations. I am a survivor of the genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as my late father was a survivor of the genocide in Bosnia against the Bosnian Muslim peoples during the World War II. I am here to share with you some important news. Our legal team at Justice for All, which is fighting for the protection of human rights for religious and ethnic minorities around the world, as well as putting an end to genocide. And make no mistake, we in Bosnia know what genocide is, and what is happening in Gaza is genocide. My dear brothers and sisters, the news that I want to share with you is our legal team at Justice for All has submitted a legal analysis and legal briefs to the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey, to the Attorney General of Eastern New York, to the Attorney General of Northern New York, to the Attorney General of the United States of America, to the Director of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. In those legal briefs and analysis, we have asked immediately for an investigation into the sale of real estate properties on illegal settlement lands. We have demanded an immediate investigation and have provided the legal analysis necessary for the Department of Justice to do its job. All businesses, corporations, and this includes incorporated synagogues, as well as other institutions in the United States of America, are required to conform to the guiding principles of the United Nations with regard to protection of human rights in all of their business dealings. This is not happening. We need you to continue to protest, but we also have to adopt the legal route which we have begun. Dear brothers and sisters, we need all hands on deck. We need to work at stopping genocide at all levels. Let us continue to do so. You can find more information about the filings of Justice for All in these particular cases by going to our website, www.justiceforall.org, and that's FORALL.org. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine! Next up, I would like to introduce a speech written by Joe Whittle, an indigenous Lenape comrade who is here with us in spirit to call for a free and liberated Palestine.
I am going to play a very short audio recording by Joe Whittle, a Lenape comrade whose ancestors were displaced from Teaneck hundreds of years ago.
Ndalawense Joe Nita Leni Lenape, Nita Kato Hasine, Nipai Lenape Hoking, Kenenustu Palestine, Nipai Palestine, Kisheliniek, Wili Nipalinen.
The translation of what he said. Hello everyone, it is a good day today. My name is Joe Whittle, and I am a tribal member of the Lenape and Caddo people. You are standing up together in Lenape Hoking, the homeland of the Lenape people. I want you to know that I understand Palestine. I stand up for Palestine, and I am praying that Creator will stand us up together in a good way. The reason that I am sending this message to you via email instead of standing there with you today is a big part of the reason that I stand with Palestine. I am writing this from my Indian reservation in Oklahoma, 1,500 miles away from Lenape Hoking, my homeland, because my family was forced here by ethnic cleansing and genocidal tactics like putting bounties on the scalps of even our babies. Our people know what it's like to have entire families brutally massacred so that settlers can steal our land and homes. These things took place on the land that you stand on all right now. They are the reason that cities like Teaneck exist, which was named from our Lenape word, Utenink, meaning town. That is why I am not there with you today. The ethnic cleansing of Lenape Hoking scattered our people into diaspora and open-air prisons in Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Canada. We still reside here today, and most Lenape people have never ever seen our beautiful homelands due to the socio-economic barriers colonizers imposed on us. We have had to fight for over 400 years to survive and retain our culture, our languages, our sovereignty, and our identities. So even though I cannot be with you there today in person, I stand with you in my heart because I do not want to see what happened to my people continue to happen to the people of Palestine. I do not want them to be little more than a bastardized place named like Teaneck or a land acknowledgement 400 years from now. I want them to be thriving and happy and whole and one with the land that made them. Palestine, just as I seek that for my own people in Lenape Hoking. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. From sea to sea. From sea to sea. Turtle Island will be free. Turtle Island will be free. Wanishi, thank you all for being there today to stand up against indigenous genocide.
These are our kids.
My grandfather did. I own the land, but I can't go there. And we have rights, we have land, we're supposed to have our land. Why they kick us from the home? They took everything. They took everything from us, even the jewelry, also the gold and everything, which is not fair. That's why here I have an opportunity. This is a free country. I'm so happy. I can express myself and the anger about our life. We are everywhere in the world trying to survive. And they're calling us, we are criminals. We are resisting. We're trying our best to go back home. And one day we're going to go back.
We have deeds for our lands there, from my grandfather there.
no, please, no,